Let me ask you something honestly.
Okay.
Have you ever understood everything in English, but when it's your turn to speak,
Your mind goes blank.
and suddenly you forget even the simplest words?
Yes, that happens all the time.
That moment right there,
That's what destroys confidence.
not your English level.
But your fear of speaking,
Today, we fix that.
not with grammar rules.
But with real conversations.
The kind you actually use every day.
So next time, you don't freeze.
You just talk.
Sarah, can I ask you something honestly?
Always.
Why do people understand English but still can't speak?
I think they're scared.
Scared of what?
Making mistakes. Saying the wrong thing. Looking stupid.
But I think there's something deeper.
Like what?
They're waiting.
Waiting?
Waiting for the perfect sentence to come into their mind.
That's true.
They don't speak immediately. First, they start building the sentence in their head.
Word by word.
Yes. Should I say this? Or that? Is this grammar correct? Is this the right tense?
And while they're thinking,
The conversation moves on.
or the other person stops waiting,
Exactly, the moment is gone.
that actually happens a lot.
Let me give you a real situation.
Okay.
Someone asks you, how was your day?
Simple question.
Very simple, you already know the answer.
Yes.
But inside your mind, everything becomes confusing.
Was good. It was good. I had a good day.
Should I say it longer? Should I add more details?
And then,
Silence.
that feeling is the worst.
And after that, you feel like you missed your chance.
Yes, and your confidence drops.
Exactly, and slowly you start avoiding speaking.
So the problem is not English.
The problem is overthinking.
That makes sense.
Real conversations don't give you time to be perfect,
People speak fast, naturally.
and they don't care about perfect grammar and small talk.
They just talk.
Short, simple, natural.
So what should someone do in that moment?
Stop trying to sound perfect.
That's difficult.
I know, but try this.
Tell me.
Next time someone asks, how was your day?
Okay.
Don't think too much, just say, good, busy day.
That's enough?
That's more than enough.
It feels too simple.
That's why it works.
But will it sound natural?
It will sound real.
Hmm.
Let me tell you something important.
Go on.
Native speakers don't speak like textbooks.
That's true.
They don't use long, perfect sentences all the time.
They use short phrases.
And they speak without overthinking every word.
So learners are trying too hard.
Exactly. They're making English heavier than it needs to be.
That's a big realization.
The goal is not perfect English.
Then what is the goal?
To connect, to communicate, to respond.
Even if it's simple.
Especially if it's simple.
I like that.
Let me ask you something.
Okay.
Which is better on saying a small, imperfect sentence?
Or saying nothing?
Exactly.
Saying something is always better.
Because speaking builds confidence.
And silence builds fear.
Yes, every time you stay silent.
Your brain learns to stay silent again.
But every time you speak,
You become a little stronger.
that's how fluency grows.
One small sentence at a time.
Not perfect sentences.
Just real ones.
So from today,
Don't wait for perfect English.
don't wait for the perfect moment.
Just speak.
Even if your voice shakes.
Even if your grammar is not perfect.
Because the real mistake,
Is staying silent.
and that ends today. Sarah, let me ask you something.
Go ahead.
Why do learners always try to use difficult English?
Because they think it sounds more impressive.
Exactly. They believe big words mean better English.
But that's not how real conversations work.
Not at all.
In real life, people use simple language.
Very simple.
But learners ignore that.
Yes, they spend hours memorizing complicated vocabulary.
Words they never actually use.
And when it's time to speak,
They can't remember anything.
or they get stuck trying to find the perfect word.
And again, silence.
Exactly.
So what's the better approach?
Use simple, everyday phrases.
Like the ones we hear all the time?
Yes, the ones people actually use in daily life.
Can you give some examples?
Sure, imagine you meet someone.
Okay.
You can say, hey, how's it going?
That's very common.
Or what's up?
I hear that everywhere.
Exactly. Simple, natural, easy.
No complicated grammar.
No difficult vocabulary.
Just real English.
Let's take another situation.
Okay.
You're at work or school.
Hmm.
You can say, long day, huh?
That sounds very natural.
Or I'm tired today.
Simple, but real.
That's how conversations actually happen.
Not long speeches.
Just small, easy sentences.
So the power is in simplicity.
Yes, simplicity makes you fluent faster.
That's interesting.
Think about this.
What?
A learner knows 1,000 difficult words.
But can't speak.
Another learner knows 100 simple phrases.
And speaks every day?
Who improves faster?
The one who speaks.
Exactly.
So it's not about how much you know.
It's about what you use.
That's powerful.
Most learners are full of knowledge
But empty in real conversations.
because they never practice simple English
They're always chasing advanced level.
instead of mastering the basics.
So, what should someone do from today?
Start collecting simple phrases.
Like a toolbox?
Exactly, your daily conversation toolbox.
Give me more examples.
Nice weather today.
Easy.
What are you doing later?
Very common.
Sounds good.
I use that a lot.
No problem.
Super useful.
These phrases are everywhere.
And they connect conversations.
Yes, they keep things flowing.
Without pressure.
Without stress
That makes speaking easier.
and more natural.
So the secret is not big English.
It's simple English used confidently.
I like that.
Let me tell you one more truth.
Go on.
People don't remember your vocabulary.
Really?
They remember how you made them feel.
That's deep.
If you speak simply but confidently,
People enjoy talking to you.
but if you try too hard,
It feels uncomfortable.
exactly.
So simple English is not weak.
It's powerful.
And real.
So from now on,
Stop chasing difficult words.
start using simple phrases
Every day.
in every conversation.
Because fluency is not complicated.
It's simple, repeated daily. Sarah, can I tell you something interesting?
Sure.
You don't actually need to speak a lot to have a great conversation.
Really?
Yes, you just need to ask the right questions.
That sounds simple.
It is simple, but most learners ignore it.
What do they do instead?
They feel pressure to keep talking, to say long sentences, and to impress.
And that makes them nervous.
Exactly, their mind gets overloaded.
And again, they freeze.
Yes, but here's the truth.
Tell me.
Conversations are not about talking nonstop.
Then what are they about?
Connection. And questions create that connection.
That makes sense.
When you ask a question, you shift the focus.
From yourself to the other person.
Exactly.
That removes pressure.
And makes the conversation easier.
So what kind of questions should learners ask?
Very simple ones.
Like?
Where are you from?
Easy.
What do you do?
Common.
How was your weekend?
I hear that all the time.
That's the point. These questions are everywhere.
But learners think they are too basic.
And that's their mistake.
Because basic questions start real conversations.
Exactly.
And once the other person starts talking,
You get time to relax.
and think about your next sentence.
Yes, you don't have to carry the whole conversation.
That feels much easier.
Let me give you a situation.
Okay.
You meet someone new.
Hmm.
Instead of thinking, what should I say next?
Just ask a question.
Exactly. So, what do you do?
Simple.
They answer.
And then,
You ask another small question. Do you enjoy it?
that keeps it going.
Yes, one question leads to another.
And the conversation flows naturally.
Without stress.
I like that.
Now think about this.
What?
If you ask good questions,
The other person does most of the talking.
exactly,
So even with limited English,
you can have a long conversation.
that's powerful.
Most learners think they need perfect speaking skills.
But they just need simple questions.
Yes, questions are your secret weapon.
I'm starting to see that.
And there's more.
What?
Questions show interest.
That's true.
When you ask someone about their life,
They feel important.
and they enjoy talking to you,
So it's not just about English.
it's about human connection.
That's deeper than language.
Exactly.
Give me more examples.
What do you like to do in your free time?
Nice.
Have you been here before?
Very useful.
What are your plans for today?
Simple and natural.
These questions work in almost every situation.
And they're easy to remember.
Yes, no complex grammar,
No stress.
just real conversation.
So the goal is not to talk more
It's to talk smart.
by asking simple questions
Exactly.
and listening.
That's very important.
Because good listeners are better communicators.
Always.
So from now on,
Don't try to speak too much.
don't try to impress.
Just ask simple questions
Stay curious.
and let the conversation flow.
That makes English feel easy.
And natural.
And that's what we want.
Sarah, let's talk about something that stops almost everyone.
Fear?
Yes, but not just any fear.
Fear of making mistakes?
Exactly.
I think that's the biggest problem for learners.
It is. More than grammar, more than vocabulary.
Why is it so powerful?
Because it controls your actions.
How?
You want to speak, but your mind says, what if you say it wrong?
And then you stop,
Yes, not because you don't know English.
but because you're afraid.
Afraid of being judged?
Afraid of sounding stupid.
Afraid of making a mistake in front of others.
That feeling is very real.
But let me ask you something honestly.
Okay.
When someone speaks broken English to you,
Hmm.
do you laugh at them?
No.
Do you judge them?
Not really.
Or do you try to understand them?
I try to understand.
Exactly.
So why do we think others will judge us?
Because we are too focused on ourselves.
That's true,
We imagine the worst.
even when it's not real.
Yes, most people are not thinking about your mistakes.
They're thinking about their own life.
Exactly.
That changes everything.
Let me tell you something important.
Go on.
Mistakes are not your enemy.
Really?
They are your training.
That's a different way to see it.
Every mistake shows you something.
What you need to improve.
Yes, without mistakes, no progress.
But people try to avoid them.
And that's why they stay stuck.
That's deep.
Think about a child learning to speak.
Okay.
Do they speak perfectly?
No.
They make hundreds of mistakes.
Yes.
But do they stop speaking?
Never.
That's why they learn fast.
Because they don't fear mistakes.
Exactly.
So adults are doing the opposite.
Yes, they wait, they think, they stay silent.
And their progress becomes slow.
Or stops completely.
So what should someone do?
Change the meaning of mistakes.
How?
Don't see them as failure.
Then what?
See them as proof that you're trying.
That's powerful.
Every time you make a mistake.
You're one step closer to fluency.
Exactly.
So instead of saying, I made a mistake,
Say, I'm improving.
I like that mindset.
And there's something else.
What?
People respect effort.
That's true.
When you try to speak,
Even with mistakes,
people appreciate it.
they don't expect perfection.
They expect communication.
That takes pressure away.
A lot of pressure.
So the real problem is not mistakes.
It's the fear of mistakes.
And once you remove that fear,
Speaking becomes easier,
more natural.
more confident.
So from today,
Don't hide from mistakes.
don't avoid speaking.
Speak, even if it's not perfect.
Speak, even if you're unsure.
Because that's how you grow.
That's how you improve.
And that's how you become fluent.
Step by step.
Mistake by mistake. Sarah, can I tell you something most learners completely ignore?
What is it?
You don't always need full sentences to sound fluent.
Really?
Yes, sometimes just a small reaction is enough.
What do you mean by reaction?
The little things you say during a conversation.
Like?
Really? Oh, nice. Wow, that's interesting.
Oh, those small responses.
Exactly. They seem small, but they're powerful.
How?
Because they keep the conversation alive.
Without pressure.
Yes, imagine someone is talking to you,
Okay.
and you stay completely silent.
That feels awkward.
Very awkward.
The other person feels like you're not interested.
Exactly, even if you are listening, silence feels cold.
So reactions show that you're engaged.
Yes, they show you're present in the conversation.
That's important.
Very important.
But learners don't use them much,
Because they think they need full, perfect sentences.
which creates pressure.
And that pressure leads to silence again.
So reactions are like a shortcut?
More like a bridge.
A bridge?
Yes, a bridge that keeps you connected, even when you don't know what to say next.
That's smart.
Let me give you a situation.
Okay.
Someone tells you, I traveled to another city last week. You don't know what to say.
That happens.
Instead of freezing, just say, oh, really?
Simple.
Then maybe, how was it?
That continues the conversation.
Exactly, you didn't need a long sentence.
Just a reaction and a small question.
That's enough.
That makes things much easier.
And here's something important.
What?
Reactions give you time.
Time,
Yes, time to think.
while still staying in the conversation.
Exactly.
So you're not silent and not stressed.
That's the beauty of it.
I like that.
Let's take another example.
Go on.
Someone says, I got a new job.
That's a big moment.
You can react with, wow, that's great.
That feels natural.
Then ask, what kind of job?
Now the conversation flows,
Without pressure.
without overthinking.
Yes, just natural communication.
So reactions make you sound more human.
Exactly, not like a robot trying to speak perfect English.
That's a big difference.
People don't connect with perfect grammar
They connect with natural responses.
and emotions.
That's true.
Even simple words can carry feeling.
Like, no way.
Or, that's amazing.
Or, oh, I see.
These are small but powerful.
And easy to learn.
Yes, you can start using them immediately.
No need to memorize long sentences.
Just practice reacting naturally
That feels less stressful.
and more real.
So what's the biggest mistake learners make here?
Staying silent when they don't know what to say.
Instead of reacting,
Yes, silence breaks the flow.
but reactions keep it alive.
Exactly.
So even if your English is limited,
You can still have a good conversation
just by reacting,
and showing interest.
that changes everything.
It really does.
So from now on,
Don't stay silent.
don't wait for perfect sentences.
Just react.
Stay engaged.
and let the conversation flow naturally.
That's how real English works.
Simple, natural, and alive. Sarah, let me ask you something important.
Go ahead.
Why do people learn English for months, even years, but still struggle in real conversations?
Hmm. Maybe they don't practice enough?
Not exactly.
Then what is it?
They practice it, but not in real situations.
What do you mean?
They learn from books, videos, apps,
But real life is different.
completely different.
In real life, there's no pause button.
No time to think for 5 minutes.
No chance to rewrite your sentence.
Exactly, it's fast, unpredictable, and it's real.
That's why people panic.
Yes, because their brain is not trained for real conversations.
So what's the solution?
Practice in daily situations.
Real situations?
Yes, the small moments you face every day.
Give me examples.
You walk into a shop.
Okay.
Instead of just buying silently.
Say something.
Exactly, even something small like busy today
That's easy.
or long line today.
That feels natural.
That's how conversations start.
Small, simple, real.
Let's take another situation.
Go on.
You meet a friend.
Hmm.
Instead of just saying hi and stopping,
Continue the conversation.
yes, say, what have you been up to?
That opens the door.
Exactly, now the conversation begins.
And you're practicing without even realizing it.
That's the best kind of practice.
Real, not forced.
Let me ask you something.
Okay.
When you practice alone, reading or listening,
You feel comfortable.
but when you speak to a real person,
It becomes difficult
why?
because it's unpredictable.
Exactly, you don't know what the other person will say.
And that creates pressure
That's why real life practice is powerful.
because it trains your brain to respond quickly.
Yes, to think in English, naturally.
Not slowly, not perfectly, but naturally.
That's the goal.
So the key is to use English in your daily life,
Every single day,
even in small moments.
especially in small moments,
Why small moments?
because they are easy.
No pressure,
No big expectations.
just simple interaction.
And those small interactions build confidence.
Step by step.
Let me give you more real life examples.
I'm listening.
You're at a cafe.
Okay.
Instead of just ordering, say, how's your day going?
That's simple.
The person might respond.
And now you have a conversation,
Exactly.
even if it's short.
It still counts.
That's encouraging.
Another situation.
Go on.
You're talking to a colleague. Say, long day, huh?
That's very natural
It shows connection.
and invites a response
Yes, and now you're practicing English in real life.
without pressure,
Without fear.
just naturally,
That's how fluency is built.
not in one big moment.
But in hundreds of small ones.
That's powerful.
Most learners are waiting for the perfect time to practice.
Like joining a class or finding a partner,
Yes, but they ignore the opportunities around them.
which are everywhere.
Exactly. Every day, every place, every interaction.
So the real problem is not lack of opportunity.
It's lack of awareness.
People don't see these chances.
Or they're too afraid to use them.
That fear again.
Yes, but remember what we said.
Mistakes are part of learning.
Exactly.
So even if the conversation is not perfect,
It still helps you grow.
every single time,
Let me tell you something important.
go on.
Fluency is not built in silence.
It's built in action,
Yes, in speaking, in trying, in interacting.
not in thinking.
Thinking alone won't make you fluent.
Speaking will.
Exactly.
So what should someone start doing today?
Start small.
How small?
One sentence a day.
That's it?
Yes, one real sentence in a real situation.
That feels possible.
Tomorrow, make it two.
Slowly increasing.
Yes, no pressure.
Just progress.
And over time,
It becomes natural,
speaking becomes a habit.
not something scary.
Exactly.
Let me ask you something.
Sure.
What if someone feels too nervous to speak in real life?
Then start even smaller.
How?
Talk to yourself.
In English?
Yes, describe your day, your actions.
Like practice alone,
Exactly, then slowly move to real people.
step by step.
Always step by step.
That makes it less scary.
And more manageable.
I like that approach.
Because the goal is not to rush.
It's to build confidence
Real confidence.
through real practice.
Exactly.
So from now on,
Don't wait for special opportunities.
use daily life.
Use small moments.
Use real conversations.
Because that's where real English lives.
Not in books,
Not in theory.
but in everyday life.
And the more you use it,
The more natural it becomes.
until one day,
You don't even think.
you just speak.
And that's fluency.
Sarah, after everything we talked about, I think we need to end with the most important truth.
More important than practice?
Yes,
More important than vocabulary?
even more.
Then what is it?
Your state of mind when you speak.
You mean confidence.
Not exactly.
Then what?
Being relaxed.
Relaxed?
Yes, because the real problem is not that people don't know English.
It's that they panic when they try to speak.
Exactly.
Their mind becomes tense.
And when your mind is tense, everything becomes harder.
Words disappear.
Thoughts get stuck.
Even simple sentences feel difficult.
Yes, not because they are difficult.
But because you're not calm.
Let me ask you something.
Okay?
Have you ever practiced a sentence perfectly alone?
Yes.
But when you tried to say it in front of someone?
I forgot everything.
Exactly.
That happens all the time.
That's not a language problem.
Then what is it?
It's a pressure problem.
Pressure?
Yes, the moment you feel pressure,
Your brain goes into fear mode.
and fear blocks your ability to speak.
That's true.
So the real skill is not just speaking English.
It's staying calm while speaking.
Exactly.
But how do you stay calm?
First, you change your mindset.
How?
Stop treating conversations like a test.
That's powerful.
Because the moment you feel tested,
You feel judged.
and when you feel judged,
You become nervous.
exactly.
So instead of thinking, I must speak perfectly,
Think, I'm just having a simple conversation.
that feels lighter,
Much lighter,
less pressure.
more natural.
I like that.
Let me tell you something important.
Go on.
Calm people always sound more confident.
Even if their English is simple.
Exactly.
Because confidence is not in the words.
It's in the feeling.
That's deep.
You can use basic English.
But if you're calm,
You sound powerful,
and if you use advanced English,
but you're nervous.
you sound unsure.
Exactly.
So calmness is more important than perfection.
Always.
How can someone become calm while speaking?
Start by slowing down.
Slowing down?
Yes, you don't need to rush.
But people feel like they have to speak fast.
That's a mistake.
Why?
Because speed creates pressure.
And pressure creates mistakes.
Exactly.
So speaking slowly is better?
Always better.
It gives you time to think.
And control your words.
And stay relaxed.
Yes.
What else helps?
Accept pauses.
Pauses?
Yes, silence is not your enemy.
That's interesting.
You don't have to fill every second with words.
So it's okay to pause and think?
It's completely okay.
That removes a lot of stress.
Exactly.
Because people try to speak nonstop.
And that creates pressure.
So pause, breathe, then speak.
Yes, simple and natural.
What about mistakes?
Accept them calmly.
Without panic?
Yes, if you make a mistake,
Just continue.
don't stop. Don't apologize too much.
Just move forward.
Exactly.
That keeps your flow.
And your confidence.
I like that approach.
Let me ask you something.
Okay.
Who sounds more confident? Someone who speaks perfect English but looks nervous.
Or someone who speaks simple English but stays calm?
Exactly.
The calm person.
Always.
Because calmness feels strong.
Yes, people trust calm energy.
That's true.
So your goal is not to impress.
It's to express,
Exactly.
not to be perfect.
But to be present.
I like that.
And remember this.
What?
No one is expecting you to be perfect.
That's important.
People just want to communicate.
And connect.
Yes.
So all this pressure,
It's created by us.
not by others.
Exactly.
So once we remove that pressure,
Everything becomes easier.
speaking becomes natural.
And even enjoyable.
That's the goal.
Yes, to enjoy speaking English.
Not fear it.
Let me say something clearly.
Go on.
You don't become fluent by being perfect.
Then how?
You become fluent by being consistent and calm.
That's powerful.
Calm mind, clear speech.
I like that.
So from now on,
Don't rush.
don't panic.
Don't overthink.
Just relax.
Speak slowly.
Stay present.
And trust yourself.
Because you already know more English than you think.
You just need to use it.
Calmly.
Naturally.
And confidently.
And that's how fluency happens.
Not in stress.
But in calm.
So next time you're in a conversation,
Don't wait.
don't overthink.
Don't search for perfect words.
Just speak.
Even if it's simple.
Even if it's not perfect.
Because every small sentence
Builds real confidence.
and every conversation.
Makes you stronger.
So don't be silent anymore.
You already know enough English.
Now it's time to use it.
Slowly, calmly.
And confidently.
And one day,
You won't even think.
you'll just speak.